September. Secrets. The Dodgers were 7.5 games ahead of the second-place Cardinals when the dog days of August ended. Alas, Toscanini had not fared as well. He looked awful, really chewed out, a shadow of his showy self. Much too much of him now feathered the bottom of his cage. Shirley worried. Father cited scientific proof that birds often molt during hot weather. Mother filled Toscanini's cup with another herbal brew. This one, she assured Shirley, had successfully cured thousands of Chinese of baldness. Wait and see. Yes, Mother. But as soon as her mother's back was turned, Shirley secretly dumped the concoction. Not because of a lack of faith in her mother's remedies, just the opposite. She was sure the signora would rather find upon her return a parrot, however bald, than Toscanini with yards of straight black hair. Shirley was still worrying the night before the first day of school. Everything had been readied. New shoes that did not pinch, spiral notepads that rustled like dollars from the bank, and yellow pencils sharpened to a decimal point without a tooth mark to be found. Yet, she was uneasy. The problem was not just Toscanini. What was it then? As she lay in the dark, her thoughts flitted here and there, never staying for long, like the glow of fireflies on a late summer's eve. Vacation had sped by as swiftly as an arrow, but she liked school and certainly missed all the friends she had made there. Why was she shy about seeing them again? Shirley hid her face in the pillow. She knew the answer. She was afraid her friends might have changed, just as change had come to her. It was true she no longer thought so often about fourth cousin, once her best friend, and lately almost not at all about the other cousins. She still spoke Chinese with her parents, but even then foreign words were substituted for those that did not come easily. Mother corrected her. "Make an effort, Shirley. You must not forget you are still Chinese." "Yes, Mother." But then out would pop another English expression, one for which there was no Chinese equivalent. "Gee whiz, baloney, just for kicks, party pooper, fat chance, what's up?" For a moment, Shirley had the urge to look in the mirror. She hardly ever did that, not like some others she had seen in the girls' room fussing with themselves as if a stray hair could send them to jail. Did she look different now? Now that she was thinking more and more in English? Was her black hair turning blonde? Was her nose getting higher? If she had a choice, she'd just as soon stay the same. Not that there was anything wrong with looking different, but she was used to the way she was. Lately, the tenants had begun remarking on how grown up she looked. She wasn't sure she approved. What was wrong with Shirley Temple Wong as is? Nothing. Yet she was worrying about things that had not happened, just like grown-ups. It was awful. Yawning, she closed her eyes. When she opened them, she was in Chongqing, walking up the mountain of 10,000 steps. The fog was dense, like steam from the bowels of the earth. She did not know if it was dawn or twilight, and in-between time. Her legs felt heavy as if she were wading through deep water. She came to a fork in the road, one she remembered well, but now she could not tell which path was the way home. She looked to the east and thought she heard her mother call, "This way, this way." She looked to the west and thought she heard her father call, "This way, this way." Confused, she did not know how to choose. Then she thought that perhaps she had imagined it all, for suddenly the voices were gone and she was afraid to venture down either path and be lost. Better go back, she thought. She had come too far. No telling whether the voices were fox spirits imitating the voices of loved ones out to entrap her. She turned and ran until she bumped into a wall. It encircled her. She could see over it, but it was too high for her to scale. On the other side, she recognized fourth cousin and all the other cousins. They stared at her, a look of disgust on their faces. "It's me, Shirley Temple Wong. It's me, sixth cousin. It's me, Bandit. Let me out. Let me in." Her clansmen pointed and began to laugh. She called their names, reminded them of the memories they shared. There was no sign that they understood a word. When she waved her hands frantically, they did too. When she jumped up and down, they did too. When she cried out, they did too. They were all making fun of her. Eventually, she noticed Grand-Uncle. He was painting. She leaned over the wall and pleaded with him to set her free. He nodded to himself, happy with his work. The children studied the painting, then her. They howled with pleasure. At last he was finished and held up the picture. It was of a strange creature, a pigeon-toed bird with scanty green feathers and red palms. It was Shirley. "Shirley, Shirley, wake up. It's time to go to school. Wake up." She threw her arms around her mother and could not stop trembling. "What's the matter? Did you have a nightmare?" Unable to speak, she nodded. "It was nothing, just a dream." Her mother's voice was soft, so welcome to her ears. When finally composure returned, she asked, "You would know me anywhere, wouldn't you, Mother? No matter how I had changed? You would, wouldn't you?" "My daughter, I'd know each hair on your head." By the time Shirley had entered the 6th grade room of PSH, she had forgotten the nightmare, and with it her fears. At Mr. P's, Tommy O'Brien had snuck up from behind to tug a braid. "Hey, Chop Suey, how are you doey?" Grinning, he then bowed deeply. She thought it rather wonderful that he remembered something she had done so long ago. Mabel joined them. "What do you know? De bums are sure doing the job." She jumped up to snatch an imaginary ball and sent it flying before her feet touched the ground. Joseph came huffing. "Hey, wait up!" He had gotten even rounder. Maria offered them a fistful of double bubble gum. Even Irvy sort of waved from across the street. It was a new classroom, but they all took their old seats and talked about who their new teacher might be. When Mrs. Rappaport walked in, the class cheered. No use breaking up a winning team. While books were being passed out, the principal came in with a new student. "Class, this is Emily. Emily Levi." Shirley knew immediately that they would be friends. Emily had huge blue eyes that were magnified even larger by a pair of horn-rimmed glasses, and she was the only other girl in class, besides herself, who wore 2 long braids. Though plain, she did not look at all like 4th cousin. Yet there was something about her that reminded Shirley of her once favorite companion. Perhaps it was the impression they both gave of no nonsense. Their friendship began at lunch, when Shirley showed Emily where to buy tickets and took her through the line, whispering who among the counter ladies gave generous portions, and what was good to eat and what should be avoided at all costs. "The corn muffins are the same ones from last year. Never, never touch the rice pudding." Seated, Emily gave an efficient shake of her milk carton and asked without further ado, "Do you like to study?" Shirley looked around to see if anyone had heard or could hear, but before she could answer, Emily confessed, "I do. I don't play anything but board games or charades. I read books, lots of them. I practice the cello 2 hours a day. My father's a psychiatrist, my mother's a committee woman. I have 2 older brothers and sisters, and we are all progressives." Throughout her recitation, her blue eyes never blinked. They just peered straight into Shirley's as if testing her. Shirley wanted to laugh, but thought better of it. Clearing her throat, she replied in tones worthy of a monk collecting alms, "I like to study. I play all games. I read books. I hate the piano. My father's an engineer. My mother's a landlady. I have 8 cousins, and we are all Chinese." The response was obviously satisfactory, for Emily took a bite out of her tuna fish sandwich. It was only after Shirley went to Emily's house that she understood what her new friend had said. A cello was a big violin that sat on the floor. A progressive was someone who called her mother and father by their first names. A psychiatrist was a doctor who never wore a white coat and kept an office in the basement of a brownstone house, furnished with a desk, a chair, and a leather couch, and lots of books, but no glass-enclosed shelves of scissors, needles, vials, bandages, or medicines, herbal or otherwise. A committee woman wore charcoal sweaters and skirts of scratchy material and wrote notes on a bulletin board while talking to other committee women on the telephone. Board games were not played with the ball. Charades was fun. Shirley's mother heartily approved of this new friendship, for never once did Shirley return from Emily's dirty, tattered, or wounded, never once without a borrowed book to read. Emily had the entire collection of Nancy Drew mysteries. Her brothers had every adventure that Zane Grey ever wrote. Best of all, the Levi family played chamber music every afternoon, thus broadening Shirley's cultural horizons. In the beginning, Shirley only listened politely, hunting for the tune, because all too often each instrument sang its own song and confused her. How do you listen to several conversations at once? Still, she admired the ritual and envying the Levis the pleasure they took in one another's company, wishing her cousins lived nearby so she could have an orchestra of her own. Only one aspect of her friendship with Emily would have displeased her mother, but she was not likely to find it out, and so Shirley did not trouble herself too much over it. One afternoon, when they were alone in the house, Emily closed her arithmetic book and whispered, "Can you keep a secret?" "Of course." "Will you swear it in blood?" Shirley thought it over and asked, "How much blood?" "Not much." How much was not much, she wondered. Before she had a chance to inquire further, Emily rushed out of the room. She returned brandishing a long pin with a pearl on one end. "Give me a finger." Shirley reluctantly offered a pinky. With a quick motion, Emily stabbed it, and while Shirley stared at the blood oozing out, her friend performed the same operation on her own finger. Then, solemnly pressing pinky upon pinky, she said, "Swear until death that it will be our secret no matter what." "I swear." Unblinkingly from behind the glasses, Emily insisted, "Swear the entire oath." "I swear unto Shirley hesitated. Grandmother had always forbidden the saying of that word. "Say it, and the gods will be tempted to make it so." But how could she refuse now? Her best friend was waiting. Perhaps, she prayed, the gods only spoke Chinese, never studied English, would not recognize temptation in another language. "Death, that this will be our secret no matter what." The corners of Emily's mouth lifted into a wicked smile. "Come." They tiptoed down the stairs past the living room, down the stairs to Dr. Levi's office. Emily put her ear to the door. Shirley did the same. She could not hear a sound. Emily carefully tried the knob. It turned, and they slipped inside. "Look out the window and see if anyone's coming,"